Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you are doing well. This week's Parsha is Vayishlach. So we learned about Yaakov, Jacob, last week as he fled to Haran to find his wife, Leah and Rachel, like we talked about last week, the difference between Leah and Rachel. And now 20 years have passed. It's been 20 years. Jacob's been living in Haran, and he decides it's time to return to the land of Israel. What he realizes, though, is that you know who lives in the land of Israel? His brother Esau, his twin brother, who he stole the birthright from, he has not seen in 20 years since he literally did something so terrible to him. So what does Yaakov do? He does three things. He prepares for war, he prays, and then he prepares to send a gift. And these three things are good examples of how we react when we have a challenge. So the first thing is he does his hishtadlut, his human effort. These are terms. Actually, first I'll introduce us to the two terms. So the first term is hishtadlut, which is putting in our effort. The second term is bitachon. Bitachon is trust and faith in God. So the three things that he does, he puts in hishtadlut, he has bitachon by praying to God, and then he puts in a little more hishtadlut. So he prepares for war, hishtadlut, putting in effort. He trusts in God by praying bitachon, and then he prepares a gift for Esau. Again, hishtadlut. It's a hishtadlut sandwich. And this is how we can look at our own problems in life. When we're worried about something, we have to put in our effort, we have to trust in God, and then we have to put in a little more of our own effort. And I explained it this way last year, but let's say that you're looking for a job. If you had a normal amount of hishtadlut, you would apply for, let's say, 50 jobs. And then you'd have there's another part of you that's like, you know what, I have bitachon and trust in God. The right job that I'm supposed to have is going to come to me. If you have too much hishtadlut, you would apply for 200 jobs. And you'd say, you know what, God doesn't have my back. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to apply to so many jobs. And if you have not enough hishtadlut and too much bitachon, you'd say, you know what, the jobs will come to me if they're meant to come to me. We can discuss these. This is in more detail. But the idea is that it's a balance, like everything in life, moderation. So then, Yaakov comes he's on his way to Israel, his whole family, he has tons of people with him. It's a huge camp, goats and horses in this, and they cross the river Jabbok, the Jabbok River. And after they cross the river, Yaakov realizes that they left something on the other side. So he decides to go back and get those things. He doesn't want to cross the river at night, so he decides to spend the night. And before he falls asleep, he's approached by this this man, an angel, who wrestles with him. And they wrestle. It's really hard. It seems like Yaakov's not going to win, but in the end, he does. He's a victor. He still gets a little bit hurt, but he's still the victor. And before the angel goes away, Yaakov says, please, won't you bless me? Now that we've had this encounter, perhaps Yaakov understands that it's an angel, whatever it is, he's experiencing something greater than himself. And so he asks this person, this angel, this this man, for a blessing. And the angel, the Ish, asks Yaakov, what's your name? And if we think about it, why is this being asked? He's not really asking. The angel knows Yaakov's name. He's asking to see, Yaakov, have you changed over the last 20 years? The last time that you were going to see your brother, you were a deceiver. You were a trickster. Are you still Yaakov? And when Yaakov says, well, what's your name? The angel says, you are not Yaakov anymore. You are Yisrael, which we know famously we are Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, the children of Yaakov, of Jacob. And what does this name mean? Yisrael comes from the phrase, ki sarita im Elokim. Because you fought, you struggled with God. That now Yisrael, Yaakov's not this deceiver, this guy anymore. Yisrael is this open name about openness and honesty and strength. And that is why we have this name, Yisrael. And the thing that I want to close with is that when Yaakov and Esau meet up, they are kind of, thank God everything turns out okay. They meet in peace and they hug and they go their separate ways. But before then, they're talking about their lives. And there are two sentences that they exchange. In English, it's translated as Esau saying to Yaakov, I have plenty. And in English, it's translated as Yaakov saying to Esau, I have plenty as well. But if you look at the Hebrew, there are two different words that are used. Esau says, Yesh li rav. Yesh li, I have rav, lots, like a lot of things. And Yaakov says, Yesh li kol. I think about this all the time. Yesh li, I have, kol means everything. Yeshli Rav, Yeshli Kol. Do you have lots or do you have everything? When we are truly grateful, we are grateful with our lot. As it says in Pirkei Avot, Ezehu Sameach, who is happy, who Sameach Bechalka, the person that is happy with their lot in life. And Yaakov shows us that he is different now. He's not jealous of others. He's not a trickster. He's not a deceiver. Yesh li kol, yesh li kol. I have everything. Esav and Yaakov could have the same amounts of things, but Esav will always look at life as I can have more and more and more and more. When Yaakov recognizes that everything that is his portion is exactly what he's meant to have in this life. So I send to you the energy of having yesh li kol this week, having everything, not just worrying about the next thing that we can possibly get. Shabbat shalom. It's been lovely to see you all. And hopefully I'll see you all next week.